Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Feliz miércoles. Feliz quarta-feira. All right, here it is. We are the end of 2025. It has been a year. I've been talking to some friends and kind of talking about how rough in some ways 2025 has been. But then, while I was doing today's session and thinking about what I was going to record for a video, I started thinking, you know what, it's been a rough year, but I've done a lot of things for myself in the face of some of that adversity that I'm pretty happy about. I was turning 50 this year, and I lost a lot of weight because I said I need to improve a lot of my health markers. And my last physical, I pretty much put all of them right, straight down the middle in terms of all the ranges they need to be in, except for one, which is kind of like a small outlier that's not a real issue. And even my testosterone count, which has traditionally been low, was in the middle of the normal range. So I've done a lot for me physically by upping my step count, hitting that goal, getting in the gym, being consistent with that in terms of just baseline health, much improved. Blood pressure is in good shape, heart rate is good. All the stuff that you want to see is in really good shape, and I'm happy about that. I should be proud of myself, and I am. Other things in terms of the gym, so again, while I was doing today's session and scrolling back and trying to do a little bit of research on myself, was looking back at some of the videos. So I lost a bunch of my social media accounts this year. That's part of a mess. And I don't want to delve into it because it's not worth wasting my time to do so. But needless to say, I lost a lot of information there about my own training. The one account was going back to 2021. That was a somewhat video log of my lifting. So I don't have that as reference. I do have an electronic log online in a form, but I made the mistake of allowing the one social media account to do all the logging. Like I had put the log as the caption and then would just paste in the link into my online log. And so that was doing all the work. I wasn't duplicating the text, which I should have done. Lesson learned. I don't make that mistake now. Nonetheless, I was looking at it, things that I've come around in terms of training, and one of them is bench press, which I did today. Going back to as far as I could go, I know that I made a lot of improvements on bench this year. So roughly around March to May, June time, I started to reintroduce a pressing movement. I've been fiddling around with incline bench, doing closed grip with the easy curl bar, a bunch of things, just trying to get some sort of pressing movement back in a rotation, and nothing was really working. Or wasn't working how I wanted to. So I kind of went back to the drawing board and started figuring out what the mobility issues are, and going back to the hundreds of hours of PT I've had in my life. It's funny, I was just, and a quick aside, I was thinking to myself, I probably have as much in-clinic experience with PT as probably most of the PT grads that are out there. I mean, I've got hundreds and literally hundreds of hours of time in physical therapy fixing various maladies that I've had in the past. But back on topic, I had to rethink how I was stretching out my shoulder and working my shoulders and how to get that mobility that I needed back into it. And so I was able to do that. I'm not going to go through that process now because it's long and boring and tedious. Nonetheless, I was able to set a goal for myself, just examining what I needed to do. And I came around, I fixed that. And fixing that and adhering to something of a schedule of stretching and mobility for my shoulder, I've been able to get back into very close to a regular bench press because I'm still doing close grip. Because if I go to the normal grip, it still gets a little bit more inflammation in that joint than I want. But I'm still bench pressing once a week. And today I did 10 sets of 3, again with that Montana method kind of template that John Hanley's put out there. 10 sets of 3 at 195. And I'm happy with that. It's almost 200 pounds, not huge, but getting towards a weight where I'd like to start maintaining at least a decent baseline for that lift. So that's a good thing. Another good thing. So done better with my overall health, getting myself back into lifting shape a little bit better. And then, oh, by the way, overhead pressing again, I had kind of written that lift off and slowly reintroducing that. And today I did 5 sets of 3 at 100 pounds again. Nothing huge, nothing like what I used to do, but it's something. It's progress. And sometimes progress is small, but as long as it's measurable, that's all that counts. So that's good. Deadlifts have been solid. Squats are getting back on track. So overall, really happy with that. Learned a lot of lessons on my own, thought about things, done some critical self-analysis, and got myself back into not the lifting shape I used to be in, but in a better place than I was at a much lighter weight. And I think with this newfound mentality towards both lifting and mobility, I should have a much more sustainable baseline heading into this next decade of life. So that's a good thing. Other things that I've done this year, right? I started really working hard at learning Portuguese. Eu falo pouco de português. Estou tentar aprender português. I'm trying to learn Portuguese. I speak a little bit of Portuguese, and I've been doing it for about 300 days. Duolingo track set. I've got another app. I got two other apps that are helping me through that. And actually some online friends that have been helping as well, which is super cool. So I've done that for myself. I started in 2025 a professional project that hasn't gotten off the ground yet, but I'm looking forward to it doing so. And the climate's not quite right, but hopefully that starts to switch. And then I did put myself back into the running for going back to graduate school so I can get myself some fancy letters after my name eventually. And that's going to start here next week, actually. I will start back in school next week. And I'm looking forward to that too. A little bit nervous, a little bit apprehensive because, I got to do homework again, which not a big fan of homework, but whatever. Obviously, I've been doing homework for other things for myself. I just got to put that mentality in front of me, like I've got to compartmentalize schoolwork now, just like I've done everything else for me. So it's and that eventually will happen. It's just going to take some integration time to again compartmentalize and think about why I'm doing this. And once I get into it, it'll get better. And there's going to be some work in terms of balancing that work-life balance. But I already have blocks of time, believe it or not, that I pretty much can relegate to coursework and stuff like that. So I've got a pretty good idea how I'm going to succeed there. Some other stuff. Professionally, it's not been a great year. Again, due to the climate that's out there, it's not as conducive as we'd like it to be, but I think that's going to turn around. I hope so. I'm looking forward to 2026 being a better year. But when I look back on 2025, it wasn't great. I'm not going to say it was a great year in general. But for me, I was able to learn a lot and improve myself a lot. So through some of the adversity and through some of the, thinking about things like mortality more, right? Because again, turning 50, that's kind of a thing. Trying to get through professional things, like what I want to do, how I'm going to achieve those things. Learn lessons there. Coming back into the gym as part of that health kick. How am I going to achieve goals and not injure myself or put myself on the sidelines again like I have in the past? So again, I've learned a lot. It's been a tough year, but you know, the old saying, you know, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. You know, I've kind of, you know, put my head down and just started trudging ahead. And again, thinking about things smartly, talking to smart people, asking good questions, having an honest conversation about things so that, you know, you can actually find out what the root cause to certain problems is. That's made a huge difference in myriad aspects of my own life, both again, professionally and personally. So looking back, again, it was a year. I learned a lot personally. I hope everyone else learned some good lessons in 2025 through whatever adversity you might have had to go through. And I hope that all of you that are watching, all small number of you, I hope you guys have a great 2026 ahead, that you continue to hit goals that you've set for yourself, that you plan out goals that are smart, and you know, things go well for you. So 2025 is out the door. Here comes 2026. I'm going to try and keep up with this YouTube channel. Something else I started in 2025, which is, you know, trying to put these videos out here, sharing my own experience and things I've learned along the way. I will try to continue to do so. And I hope all of you guys, again, have a great Wednesday. Feliz miércoles, feliz quarta-feira. And I hope that you can, oh, and by the way, shouldn't forget, because I forget a lot. If you do like this stuff, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that kind of stuff. I want to hear from you guys if you can. But yeah, anyhow, get into those gyms, hit those goals, and get swole. And here's to a fantastic 2026 for you and for your family and friends and all the important people in your life. Peace.